Good afternoon and welcome to your news on TV1. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Shehan Ranatunga. First up, here's a look at your headlines.
IMF board to decide on Sri Lanka's bailout package. Heavy rains batter most parts of Sri Lanka. Attorney General recommendation on extending the tenure of local government institutions expected today. Xi makes journey of friendship to Moscow days after Putin's war crime warrant issued. New Zealand complete 2-0 series sweep against Sri Lanka.
Wow, it's taken a while. New Zealand have got there in the end.
Now, first up in news here at home, Sri Lanka's central hills are being battered by heavy rains. Newsfirst correspondents reported that natural disasters have been reported from multiple locations.
At least 5 people were injured after heavy rains caused a landslide in the Kabaragala estate in Punagala, Bandarabella. According to reports from Newsfirst correspondents, the landslide occurred at approximately 9 p.m. on Sunday near the Kabaragala estate hospital. Over 30 homes have been damaged, leaving around 200 residents of 60 families without shelter. The Disaster Management Centre said that the Punagala road from Bandarabella to Koslanda was temporarily closed for traffic. DMC Assistant Director A.M. Uday Kumar told Newsfirst that such a decision was taken due to the risk of landslides. The 18-bend road, also known as Dahatavangua, located along the Kandy Mahiyangane road, was reopened for traffic on Monday. The 18-bend road was closed off for traffic on Sunday after rockfalls and earth slips were reported at the second bend. However, Sri Lanka police said that there is a risk of a rock located in the area where a landslide took place falling on the road below. The National Building Research Organisation had deployed a team to the area for investigations. Landslide early warnings were issued for the Badulla, Gaul and Mathura districts. A coconut tree uprooted and fell onto a house in Kavatta during a heavy downpour. Newsfirst correspondent said a woman was inside the house at the time of the incident and she was not injured. The Department of Meteorology has issued warnings of thunder showers across many regions of the island today, particularly in the evening and at night. The western, Sabaragamuwa, central, Uva, north central and eastern provinces may face heavy downpours of up to 50 millimeters. In addition, wind speeds are expected to increase to 80 kilometers per hour in the coastal areas from Colombo to Hambantota by Gaul and Mathura, according to the department.
Now, in other news, the Executive Board of the International Monetary Fund will meet today to discuss the IMF-supported program for Sri Lanka.
On the 7th March, IMF Executive Director Kristalina Georgieva said Sri Lankan authorities have made progress in taking decisive policy action and have obtained financing assurances from all their major creditors, including China, India, Japan and the Paris Club. The IMF board will hold a meeting on the 20th of March for the consideration of approval for an extended fund facility of a $2.9 billion bailout package for the country. Sri Lanka started the related negotiations with the international lender in 2022 after the South Asian country was hit by a severe economic crisis.
University activities have been crippled due to the strike action launched by the Federation of University Teachers Associations against the new tax policy of the government. The strike is on for the 12th consecutive day.
Chairman of the Federation of University Teachers Association, Professor Shyama Bannahaka, told Newsfirst that the strike will go ahead until solutions are provided to their issues. In addition, the trade unions attached to the Ceylon Electricity Board and the National Water Supply and Drainage Board also launched a continuous strike against the government's new tax regime. The Professionals Trade Union Collective said they hope to discuss their demands with the President this week.
We have
not abandoned our struggle. We have given the government some breathing space. We hope for direct talks this week, and based on that, we will decide our future course of action.
Now, the State Minister of Provincial Councils and Local Government, Janaka Wakkumbura, said the Attorney General's recommendation on whether the tenure of the local government institutions will be extended is expected today. Now, the tenure of 340 local government institutions lapsed on Sunday night, and the matter of extending the tenure was referred to the Attorney General.
The official term of 340 local government institutions ended at midnight on Sunday. Accordingly, the tenure of 29 municipal councils, 36 urban councils and 275 Pradesh Sabhas ceased from midnight on Sunday. The tenure of the members of the 340 local government institutions commenced on the 20th of March 2018. The Alpitiya Pradesh Sabha held a separate election, and as a result, their official term began in October 2018. Although the official term of 340 local government institutions was supposed to end on the 20th of March last year, the minister in charge used his authority in order to extend the term by a year to end in 2023. Accordingly, the official term of 340 local government institutions ceased on Sunday. The State Minister of Provincial Councils and Local Government, Janaka Wakkumbura, says that thereafter all administrative activities of these institutions will be handed over to the commissioners or secretaries. This is as per the provision set out in the Local Authorities Elections Ordinance.
MP Uday Gamampilla claims that the government printed 113 billion rupees on the 15th of March.
When the government was saying that they do not have the funds to conduct an election, we told them to hold the election by printing money. Then they said that because they have signed an agreement with the IMF, they can no longer print money. The same government on the 15th of March has printed money worth 113.5 billion rupees within one day. I am not the one making this claim. It is the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. This is the press release of the CBSL on the 15th of March. It is not a joke that the government that can print money worth 113.5 billion rupees in a day cannot allocate 9 billion rupees for an election.
මේ තියෙන ශ්‍රී ලංකා මහ බැංකුව මාර්තු මාසේ 15 වෙනිදා නිකුත් කළ මාධ්‍ය නිවේදනයේ එතකොට එක දවසට රුපියල් බිලියන 113.5ක් අච්චු ගහන්න පුළුවන් ආණ්ඩුව මැතිවරණයක් සඳහා රුපියල් බිලියන 9ක් ලබා දෙන්න බෑයි කියන එක විහිළුවක් නෙවෙයිද?
Jatika Janabalawega executive member Tilvin Silva said the government is delaying the election because it fears its results.
He assumes that he can make us get frustrated by delaying the elections. He assumes that by doing so he can secure the IMF loan in April, a loan from the Asian Development Bank, a loan from the World Bank, and launch a project or two in the country to change the mindset of the people. The era where such ploys worked is no more. Ranil Wickremesinghe will never achieve his dream. The people are determined to right the wrongs and defeat the system. He fears results, and thus he is delaying the election.
ඇත්තටම රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ බය ඡන්දට නෙමෙයි මොකටද බය? ඡන්ද ප්‍රතිඵලයට බයයි. මේ ප්‍රතිඵලය ආවට පස්සේ ආයේ ඒගොල්ලන්ට ජනාධිපතිකම් කරන්න වෙන්නේ. ඒ නිසා ඒගොල්ලෝ ප්‍රතිඵලයේ පොඩ්ඩක් කල් දාගන්න උත්සාහ කරමින් ඉන්නවා.
SJB parliamentarian Thissath Nayaka says it is unconstitutional to exercise executive power to delay the election. He was speaking at a discussion by the Samaki Janapawara movement in Polonnaruwa.
අප්‍රේල් 25 වෙනිදා තියෙනවායි කියලා කියනවා.
It is illegal to keep on delaying the election. There is no law to delay the election. The president is using his executive powers to intimidate the officials. One of the matters clearly mentioned in the constitution is that after an election is called for, if an official or person tries to prevent it, the matter can be reported to the Supreme Court and that person can be punished by the court. So the government printer, finance secretary, IGP, public administration secretary, among others, will be responsible. We will seek relief from the country.
දඬුවම් දීමේ බලය අධිකරණයට තිබෙනවායි කියලා තිබෙනවා. එහෙනම් මම හිතන්නේ මේකෙන් වගකීම බාර ගන්න වෙයි මුදල් අමාත්‍යාංශයේ ලේකම්වරයා, රජයේ මුද්‍රාලීපතිවරයා, පොලිස්පතිවරයා, රාජ්‍ය පරිපාලන ලේකම්වරයා මේ හැමෝම වගකීම් බාර ගන්න වෙයි. අනාගතේ මේවා පිළිබඳ අධිකරණයට අපි යනවා. දැනටත් අපි නඩු කීපයක් ගිහිල්ලා තිබෙනවා.
Following the meeting, the group protested against the increase of electricity tariffs and the delaying of the election.
The Action Committee of the Medical Faculty students protested opposite the Health Ministry. The protest was against attempts to privatize Sri Lanka's free healthcare. Now, one of the most ravaging issues being faced by farmers in Sri Lanka is the fertilizer crisis. However, farmers from Uvaparanagama are facing another crisis.
Farmers cultivating the paddy fields located in the Valkandiaya Valley in Amagasdova in Uvaparanagama with high hopes of reaping a good harvest. However, these hopes were washed away due to the spread of moss across the rice fields. The farmers say that this situation has arisen due to the use of substandard compost fertilizer. The main paddy storage unit belonging to the Moragahakanda Mahavali project in the vicinity of the Bakamuna town in Polonnaruwa remains unutilized. Residents of the area say that it was built to store the harvest of farmers in the Moragahakanda Mahavali region, but it has been abandoned for about 4 years. A group of farmers and members of the All Ceylon Agrarian Federation visited the premises to inquire regarding this.
News First with the people.
Now, with the aim of making monumental change in the future of children for fellow Sri Lankans, the third day of the first phase of the LOLC Divisavia Program began today. The program focused on the Kegol district today as well. Exercise books and equipment are distributed to school children in Sri Lanka under this project. This program is supported by the Ministry of Education and is fully sponsored by the LOLC Group. Exercise books and equipment were distributed to children of Mangalagama and Galpola primary schools belonging to the Mavanala Education Zone in the Kegol district today. Another group from Divisavia visited the children of several other schools in the Mavanala Education Division and provided them with educational materials. The children of Bogagoda Primary School in Kegol also received school equipment including books from the Divisavia Program. Now in some news overseas, 3 days after being accused by an international tribunal of war crimes in Ukraine, Russian President Vladimir Putin is to welcome his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping when he arrives in Moscow today.
The Chinese president will be the first world leader to shake Putin's hand since the International Criminal Court issued an arrest warrant for the Russian leader on Friday over the deportation of Ukrainian children to Russia since the start of the war. The Kremlin said the action taken by the ICC was outrageous but legally void. Neither Moscow nor Beijing are members of the ICC. The Kremlin added that during this visit to Russia, Xi Jinping and Putin would be discussing issues of further development of comprehensive partnership and strategic interaction between Russia and China, as well as exchanging views, quote, in the context of deepening Russian-Chinese cooperation in the international arena, unquote. The two leaders will also sign important bilateral documents. On Thursday, China's Foreign Minister Qin Gang spoke to his Ukrainian counterpart Dmytro Kuleba, saying China hoped, quote, Ukraine and Russia will retain hope for dialogue and negotiation and not close the door to a political solution, no matter how difficult and challenging it may be, unquote. Writing an article published by the People's Daily newspaper in China, the Russian president described Xi's visit as a landmark event that affirms the special nature of Russia-China partnership. In his article, Putin also described the president of China as his, quote, good old friend, unquote. Xi Jinping's visit is his first visit to Russia since Putin launched his full invasion on Ukraine more than a year ago. Meanwhile, the Russian president visited the occupied port city of Mariupol yesterday, his first trip to Ukrainian territory that Moscow illegally annexed in September, in show of defiance after the International Criminal Court issued a warrant for his arrest on war crimes charges. Mariupol became a worldwide symbol of resistance after outgunned and outmanned Ukrainian forces held out in a steel mill there for nearly 3 months before Moscow finally took control of it in May. Much of the city was pounded to rubble by Russian shelling. The surprise trip to Mariupol also came ahead of the planned visit to Moscow by Chinese President Xi Jinping today, expected to provide a major diplomatic boost to Putin in his confrontation with the West.
The All Ceylon Agrarian Federation says that the government must work to solve the issues of the farmers. The farmers of the country have come to a very helpless point at the moment. The mammoty that was at 800 rupees now costs 3,500 rupees. Farmers now have to purchase different pesticides and weedicides that have no standard quality. Prices have increased as well. With this situation, the production cost has risen. In comparison, the income of the farmers has reduced. The prices given to the farmers is much low compared to that. This is why we would request the government, please provide solutions to the issues of the farmers, but they do not have the time to solve these issues.
කරුණා කරලා මේ ගොවීන්ගේ මේ ජනතාවගේ ප්‍රශ්නවලට විසඳුම් දීපල්. හැබැයි මේගොල්ලන්ට ඒව විසඳන්න වෙලාවක් නැහැ.
Sri Lanka's Agriculture Ministry said that 1.2 million local farmers will be given triple superphosphate or TSP fertilizer free of charge from Monday after 3 harvesting seasons. The shipment of 36,000 metric tons of triple superphosphate was funded by the United States Agency for International Aid or USAID and procured by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations for distribution free of charge to farmers. Accordingly, 11,537 metric tons of TSP fertilizer will be issued to farmers in the northern and eastern provinces. TSP fertilizer will be issued via all agrarian services centers in the country. The Ministry of Agriculture said that TSP fertilizer will be issued to other areas to commence harvesting. According to the ministry, 55 kilograms of fertilizer is recommended for 1 hectare of paddy cultivation.
Now in your sports news, hosts New Zealand completed a 2-0 series sweep against Sri Lanka after securing a victory by an innings and 58 runs in the second test. Now on Sunday, New Zealand maintained their dominance over the visitors, enforcing a follow-on and setting up the likelihood of a series clean sweep with 2 days to play. The tourists reached 113 for 2 in their second innings at stumps on day 3, but still trailed by 303 runs at Wellington's Basin Reserve. They need a massive turnaround to avoid defeat after being skittled out for 164 in their first innings in response to the Black Caps' 580 for 4 declared. Sri Lanka were bowled out for 358 runs in their second innings.
On his knees for so long before this innings, he is flying.
In the air, what a catch that is, Devon Conway!
In the air and out. He's
An 11th Test half century for Dhananjaya de Silva.
oh, out! Out! Oh no!
It's a taken! It's Sally who does it! Wow, it's taken a while. New Zealand have got there in the end. The bowlers have done a sterling job. They've wrapped up the second Test match on day 4.
Now in other news, over 250 female athletes arrived in Sri Lanka for the challenging Raid Amazons adventure event that will take place in March in Sri Lanka. Raid Amazons will hit the fabled streets of the hill capital Kandy with the participation of over 250 female athletes. Raid Amazons is a coveted annual destination adventure event originating from France, which features female athletes competing their way through a range of challenges such as orienteering, mountain biking, canoeing, riding, running and archery. Sri Lanka was chosen over rival destinations by the event's founders due to the unparalleled warmth of its people and support on the ground to pull off a successful event. Raid Amazons will especially help create more awareness of Sri Lanka as an adventure travel hotspot in France and the rest of Europe, where Raid Amazons is sought after and attracts adventure seekers. And that wraps up your news for now. Thank you for watching.
At the KTN, that's the ready. Cyber අවකාශයේ කලබන වුවත් සලකුණ. News First YouTube channel අදම subscribe කරන්න. News First ජනතාව සමග.
News First News Alert ඔබේ ජංගම දුරකථනයට ඔබ ඩයලොග් පාරිභෝගිකයෙක් නම් English Alert සේවාව ලබා ගැනීමට NFU ලෙසත් Singlish Alert සේවාව ලබා ගැනීමට NUS ලෙසත් Tanglish Alert සේවාව ලබා ගැනීමට NAT ලෙසත් ටයිප් කර 678ට සෙන්ඩ් කරන්න.
News First.